Hey everybody, Ray Pastor, and today what I'd like to do is I want to talk about the features that I think I'd love to see on the next gen Garmin devices. And by next gen, I'm really referring to the Garmin Fenix 7 and Garmin Forerunner 955. If those are already out and these features aren't on here, then I want to see them on the next versions. All right, so let's talk about the features. I'm going to go through, there are 11 different, well, technically 10 with a bonus thing at the end that I'm going to talk about that I would like to see on the next gen Garmin devices. And you may not agree with me. I know there's people out there that will not agree with all these features. That's fine. This is my personal list, what I want to see on the device. All right, let's get started. First thing I'd like to see, running power. Super useful for those that are training and running sports, tri running, any kind of distance running. Super useful feature, really cool, and can be incorporated in the watch. And I think this one's definitely going to be included. Next one, training status upgrades. There are a lot of problems with Garmin's training status. I've done videos about this. Basically, the big problem is that it requires VO2 max to be effective. And if you aren't getting your VO2 max, it actually stops calculating your status. So what does that mean? That means that in the winter, I personally train inside all winter, like on a treadmill. So my training status literally just stops working after a few weeks. I just don't have it anymore. That's not very useful. I'd much rather see them implement a TRIMP-based option that would be more similar to Training Peaks and Strava. At least give us the option for that TRIMP-based option. The TRIMP-based option, which would be based on heart rate, would work in the winter and work all the time and not rely so heavily on your VO2 max. So that's the next thing I want to see. All right, other thing. HRV numbers. You know, Garmin is calculating your heart rate variability, the numbers. It's interpreting them in body, battery, and stress. So why not give me the numbers? I really want to see my HRV numbers so that I can really monitor my progress. Because sometimes my body battery just hits 100% or can hit 0%, but is there more to that? Does it go further? Like, there are HRV numbers being calculated there that I would really like to keep track of so that I would know more about my recovery and improvement long term with the HRV numbers, like 1 month versus the next. I'd really like to see those numbers. So include that. You're already calculating it, just include it. Next thing, and this is one I think a lot of people are iffy about, but I am all for it. LTE Cellular, 100% needed. I was in a surfing accident while I was surfing out in the water. I was really lucky that the lifeguards were there to help me. But if they weren't, I want LTE on my watch so that I can call for help. I actually went out and bought the Apple Watch just for LTE so that I can have it on my wrist for emergencies while I'm surfing now. Because the Garmin doesn't have it and I need something for emergencies. It's worth the money for me to pay for the LTE to have it for emergencies. That's not counting all the other useful features. When I'm surfing or doing any activity, I hate bringing my phone when I run. I can now get alerts. Like, I have little children. If there was an emergency, my wife can text me. I can quickly glance, see it. That kind of stuff is extremely useful. And I find I do use the LTE features a lot, and I'd love to see it on Garmin. All right, better watch face options. Like, we have all these cool widgets, and like I can pull up the tides on my 945, but like I can't just make like the tide on my watch. Like, I can't customize the watch face the way that I can customize like a data field for running or anything like that. So I'd really like some customizable watch faces that allow you to add different pieces of information that you are interested in on it. I think that would be really cool. Updated app. The Garmin Connect app is great. I've always liked the app. The problem is I feel like the app is like a very slimmed down version of their website, and it is. But like other apps like Strava and Training Peaks have a lot more information, and I feel like Garmin can do that too. Especially with like Training Peaks app. I feel like Garmin can really reinvest in their app and add a lot more value to it. I don't want to have to check online. I would prefer to just use the app, but it's not. Sometimes there's a lot of button presses to get to where I want to go, and it just doesn't tell you everything. All right, this is going to be a completely controversial thing. Virtual power, virtual bike power. I realize if you have a power meter, this feature would be completely useless. And I realize the high-end Garmin's like the Forerunner 955 will be geared towards those doing triathlons who should have a power meter if you're seriously training for it. But I think there's a lot of casual users. I no longer train to race. So like I am training for health, but I still like to have all these metrics to measure improvement. And I'd really enjoy having power. When I see that we can have power on Trainer Road, when I see we can have it on Zwift and every other piece of software, I don't know why it can't be included on my Garmin watch. I'd call it virtual bike power so that people understand that it's not as accurate. It's not, can't account for things like wind. It's not going to really be able to probably account for GPS like hills and stuff like that. But I've tried the virtual power in those pieces of software and it's actually pretty good, especially if you use it consistently. It's not bad. And for those who don't need a power meter, it's another metric that can help you show improvement and show what you're doing. So I would like to see it. I get that it's controversial. I get why you might not want that feature. I'm talking about what I want here. Next thing. This is a feature people are like, this is worthless. Why would you have this? Voice to text. I'll tell you what. After I had it on my Apple Watch, I was like, this is amazing. I can literally be like holding a kid in one hand, and this is like not for sport, but I can talk even when I'm running. Like I can send a message when I'm surfing out in the water. I can't like type or do anything. I can talk into my watch and send my wife messages like I'll be home at 8. You know, just letting her know things like that. It is extremely useful. I love voice to text. Just being able to text on the watch in general would be useful. It is a feature. I don't care about calling on my watch. I never use that feature. But the text feature and voice to text, I do use all the time. I would like to see it. All right, more music options like Pandora, and just with LTE and cellular, you should have more music options. I use Pandora all the time, and I'd love to have options like that. Just really be able to use any kind of internet radio on my watch. I think would be useful as I run. I enjoy having music, and I don't bring my phone with me. Better lifting. I lift a lot. I lift 3 times a week usually. That's kind of what I try. I try to lift 3 days a week. I think that there's a lot Garmin's missing in the lifting arena compared to the specialized lifting apps out there. I realize that Garmin's specialty is not weightlifting, but I also think it's an area that they're lacking focus, that I see a lot of people on Reddit and other forums commenting on, like, is Garmin good for weightlifting? And usually an app, specialized apps are better for that. But I think that's an area Garmin could improve. They could easily make better and easily get a lot more useful data out of the lifting feature. So I'd really like to see that expanded a lot. I'm actually using Excel right now because it's just better for it. And I'd love to have a really good app for that. I'd love Garmin to create that. So yeah, that's something I'd really like to see as well. And the final thing, stop with the million amount of models. Why do we need 10 models of the Fenix 7? Or Fenix 6, I should say. Why do we need 10 Forerunners? In fact, why is there a Forerunner in Fenix? Why isn't there just one? I've always considered the Forerunner, the 935 and 945, basically like the plastic version of the Fenix. They're literally the same device. Maybe there's a couple features here and there, but I feel like it's counterintuitive of Garmin. For the simple reason that they have to have teams developing 2 different operating systems for these watches, when I think that's craziness. Why not just call the Forerunner 955 the Fenix 7 Lite or something, or Fenix 7 Runner version or whatever, and have it it's just a different casing but same operating system as the Fenix 7, and then have the Fenix 7, the more rugged version, rugged, non-rugged or something like that. Then you have the, maybe there's a Solar or something like that. But all the models make it confusing for consumers. I get it because I'm in the space and I'm reading the stuff all the time, paying attention to what's out there. But like, you don't know how many questions you see on forums. Should I get the 245, 645, 945, Fenix 7? People don't know what they should get because there's too many options for them. It makes them indecisive. And usually these watches are separated by like 1 or 2 features. And sometimes people don't realize a feature is not even on that watch because they just assume it is. So I think it makes it really confusing, and I think Garmin could do a much better job. I think they can slim their lines down at the very least. So that's my final thing. Those are the things I'd like to see. Let's go back in reverse order. I'll go through them really quick. So stop with the million amount of models and give them, I can't understand what's, I do like the number, like Fenix 7, I get it. Forerunner 945, there hasn't been 945 versions. Why can't it, like I like Fenix, there was 5, 6, 7, like so easy. Just numbers, consecutive numbers, makes it simple. All right, better lifting in the app, can do a much better job. More music options, voice to text, and really any texting I'd like to have. Virtual bike power I'd love to see. Updated app. Better watch face customability and options. And I know you can make your own, but most people aren't doing that. This is a must for me to even buy the next version is LTE and Cellular. Give me the HRV numbers. And these are kind of in order of importance. I really want LTE Cellular. I really want those HRV numbers. If they don't have voice to text, I'll live. But I do want LTE. I do want those HR. Those are my two biggest things probably are the HRV numbers and the LTE Cellular. Training status upgrades is another, probably my third biggest one that I really need. I'd love to see trim scores being used, using heart rate instead of a mandatory VO2 max when we just don't have it when we run all the time in the treadmill. Or have a separate VO2 max indoor VO2 max for people who use the treadmill and just call it indoor VO2 max or something. They can do a lot with that because other pieces of software are doing it. And then running power. And those are my things. That's what I'd like to see in the Garmin Next Gen. So, you know what? If the 7 and the 955 are out and they don't have all these features, this is what I want to see in the 8. But, or the 965. But I'll do more videos to show you what I like then. But that's everything. Hope you enjoyed. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you disliked about my list. And tell me other features you'd like added. Because I know there are some things that they are talking about incorporating that I didn't put on my list that I know some people might enjoy. They just weren't things I necessarily needed, so I did not include it. All right, later all. Have a good day.